All right, good morning. We got a PU monthly report, and I saw a few, not too much hype on Twitter about it. I don't really know anything. There's more hype around the Squadron 42 one, which we'll check out in a little bit, but this is July's monthly report as we're now in August, and read on for in-depth updates on vehicles, locations, AI tech, maps, and more. And I think the big thing is, how much are they going to hold back? Right? How much are they going to hold back? And how much are they going to like actually give here, right? So, as always, they start out with AI, which is these AI sound amazing, right? Now the AI are transitioning between EVA and environments with gravity. They probably do it better than we do. Or I wonder if they fall flat on their face every time they do it. Right? The team has also implemented simple behaviors and assignments for entering and exiting ships, which compute a path to a location and utilize the most suitable way. The AI tech upgraded navigation links, connected to volumes from different zones. All right. I mean, again, these AI tech sound very good. AI tech also picked up the ongoing work on Boids. They're currently working on 2D Boid agents, such as rodents, that will move across terrain within the confines of the navigation. This is okay. So I'm 99% sure we'll see a keynote type thing at SitCon. Because why wouldn't they? And this is exactly the type of stuff that you can expect to see debuted there. This is why they're doing it. I'm like 99% sure, right? No, there's no way that it's for any other reason than a keynote. That's just how I feel about Boids. The subsumption editor received numerous improvements, including variable type editor. I don't know if this will help like AI act better. Various features and AI systems receive improvements too. For usable group coordinator, designers can now specify that group of NPCs should synchronize when transitioning from one group of usables to another. Yeah, again, all this stuff is not really doing too much. I will say one thing that I find to be very interesting is somebody said it, I think, in our chat or somewhere else. I don't remember where actually, but somebody said something about, I just want the NPCs to like talk to each other, right? Like that's like a simple thing that's missing. Like NPCs don't like, you don't walk around a landing zone and hear them like communicating. Did you ever notice that? It just doesn't happen. Animation's actually a little bit longer than what they usually do. Last month, the animation team focused on improving the results for reloads and takedowns. They also worked on basic idles for weapons and knives, which are planned for release in Alpha 3.20. So they've been doing idles. I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but if you leave, so like sometimes a player, if you haven't played Star Citizen for a while, a player that's like AFK will actually appear to be more NPC like, because they'll like check their Moby glass, like it's like they'll like check their time and stuff. So they've done a few idles for player characters when they're idle. Now they're doing more animations for idles when you have weapons out, idles when you have knives out. So I think that's a very good touch to the game and makes the game feel much more alive. They're currently making improvements to player-prone animations and adding an increasing number of player interactions to improve the immersion in specific environments. Okay, that's very good. So this is very gameplay related, in my opinion. On the facial side, they continue to support new incoming lines for PU pilots and combatants. We can use those because they say a lot of the same things all the time, right? Character art. In July, the character art team continued working on outfits for headhunters and dusters. Dude, these better be the fall line of outfits at CitizenCon, because like it's going to need to be Fashion Week for how long they've been working on outfits for the headhunters and dusters. Like it's every month a report for the last like 6 monthly reports. Like it's gonna need to be LA Fashion Week. This is ridiculous, dude. They've said it every month for like half the year, maybe the whole year so far. Alongside this, the character concept art team explored ideas for additional headhunters outfits. They're still going. And then handoff sheets for IAE and Luminelia content. Okay, so the ship section is actually much larger. And guys, please always take this one with a grain of salt. In the UK, the RSI Polaris began its white box pass with a thorough breakdown of the content required. The team then imported the concept mesh and completed a basic entity setup. A rough interior white box was completed, and several issues with the concept were resolved. That one is exciting for a lot of people, specifically one person in chat. Armored Sponge here is a Polaris-obsessed human being. And I feel like we've seen this before. I'm confident that this won't happen with this, but I will remain cautiously optimistic on it. Is they've done a white box pass, they've moved on to other things. You guys remember the 600i? This appears to be a scheduled vehicle, though. They said it in a ship update in a video. I don't believe that they will do that in this scenario, but we've been burned before. That's all I will say, is we've been burned before. And I believe it's going to start happening here in the ship section for SitCon release stuff and IAE release stuff. Is as yet unannounced ship continues its LOD 0 pass with majority tasks completed and review scheduled. The team is currently focused on adding tertiary details to the interior and exterior, as well as finishing the lighting pass for each phase. So these are like our sales coming up. Crusader A1 Spirit has progressed through final art with a handful of LODs remaining for the interior and exterior damage. Work also continued on the C1 Spirit cargo variant. Okay, that's cool. So we heard the A1 was hitting 320.x. The C1 sounds like it might follow soon after, with the main difference being minor exterior changes and the cargo room, the latter of which is currently progressing through gray box. So they're not even in final with that. It's still very gray box with the C1, so maybe not soon after, but after. Work on a new ship variant continued, with the dashboard and cockpit receiving attention. The design team also resolved the placement of physicalized components ready for the art team at a later date. Another unannounced variant continued through its gray box phase 2. 2 variants. I think it's safe to assume one of them is the Fury LX here, because it's unannounced, but it's been announced, dude. So like, what? It's been announced twice, but I'm assuming that's what they're talking about there. In the US, the Temporal Storm approached the end of production. We've built all the damage meshes, projected, blah, 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 right? They've done a lot of things on it, but all that really matters here is the Temporal Storm is close to approaching your hangars. Ship art also worked alongside tech art to resolve visual issues with the treads. Okay. Oh my God, look at how long this is. Elsewhere, tasks started for an all-new vehicle. The team began by breaking apart the concept, putting it together in an in-game preview while planning out the work required for the base and its variants. All right, the current plan is to white box all the variants at the same time and then select which versions move on to gray box first. Ooh. So this is all new vehicles. So it's not the motorcycle that had I think that had variants, right? What's LOD 0? LOD 0, I think, is the nicest looking LOD, and then they break it down from there, or it's the other way around. Yeah, like the closest detail, I'm pretty sure. 2 new variants went through LOD 0 phase and are approaching content complete, so more variants. Team also progressed through LOD 0 on the Apoa Santokia. Yeah, so it sounds like the most detailed is LOD 0. Filling out item housing and doing heavy paneling, work on the exterior. They also came to a solution for the dashboard, which still requires polish, but delivers a unique aesthetic for interaction. I do apologize, guys. I'm very runny nose this morning for some reason. Finally, for ships, the Origin X1 entered the gray box stage. So for me, I was thinking maybe this was the all-new vehicle as well, but it's not. While waiting on the white box review, the team are working to solve various aesthetic issues. So the Origin X1, people, like, I just saw somebody type it in chat. Nobody knows what it is. So it is a motorcycle Origin ship that... Oh, you do know what it is. Okay, but whatever. It's an Origin motorcycle. It's a hover bike. Yeah. I don't want to say motorcycle. It's a hover bike because we do have motorcycles with wheels in the game. Well, not in the game, but yeah. So, okay. When did they say they were going to work on it, dude? They said they were going to work on it. Osmer said it in a ship SCL like months and months and months ago, and they finally got to it. Yeah, a lot of people want the Ranger, but at the same time, like Johnny Morgan saying in chat, we need roads, dude. Who cares about all these vehicles, dude? We need something to use them on, and you know. Damn, it was in February. Okay, but I don't think he was saying they were working on it in February. They kind of were like running down their schedule of what they were going to work on, and the X1 was a part of it. Audio, Pyro, and apparently we're going to have an ISC on the Pyro audio again. Improvements were made to the flight experience, including updated vibration tech and impacts. If anybody has seen the hybrid, I forgot his hybrid 5, hybrid V, on YouTube. If anybody has seen his like vibration and impact sounds that he added to Star Citizen to make it sound amazing, they may have been inspired by that, it sounds like, by reading this. I highly suggest you check it out. I'll do my best to, if I can find it, to throw the link in the description of the video. But yeah, it's wild. Community, I mean, they do community things. They're preparing for CitizenCon, the Atmo collaboration. Cool. Bar Citizens, the usual. Virtual Bar Citizen. No way. Darjanator is the one talking here. Out of everybody on the screen, Darjanator is the alpha for sure. Ever had a conversation with Darjanator? The man can talk, but I love to listen. Love Darj. Engine. So a lot of this stuff always goes over my head. And I usually skip a lot of it. But as always, lots of core engine things happen and improvements are happening, right? Entity system team primary support of various technical initiatives, Rastar Resource Network. Okay. Yeah, so this is always a skip for me. Anybody who does have like more technical knowledge on what some of these things could be, let me know, because I'm never able to truly understand that stuff. Oh, there you go. Selby put it in chat. It's incredible. It's 16 minutes of audio like joy. It's wild. Features, characters, and weapons. This is one of my favorite sections. Feature team. This is where, like, you know, the tactile stuff that for me, like, makes the game feel alive. July saw feature team experimenting with skill progression, which involves players performing specific in-game actions to make them better at similar activities. For example, building up strength will allow players to carry heavier objects with fewer penalties, while performing takedowns will open access to quicker and quieter action sets. That's so cool. For player, like, picking up and carrying heavier objects, they're gonna have to make a lot of changes. Did I see Linux headless clients? Oh yeah. That's a big one. All right, so to scroll back to engine, we thought they already had this, but Linux-based headless clients, which will help with automatic testing. So the reason now, and I really want to touch on this a lot, is if they can get their automated testing, load testing, we may not experience the 318 thing to that level ever again. I don't know what they showed on ISC about how they had all the, oh yeah, it can spawn ships and fly around and do all this shit. I don't know what they did, but that clearly didn't work. Okay. So whatever they have is if they can launch tons of us the way, because like, listen, me and Burks have talked about this many times now. If they can launch like 318, there has never been more hype around a game, around Star Citizen than, I was going to say a patch, around a Star Citizen patch than 318. Everybody was like, I think everybody pays attention to Star Citizen. I really do. Huge YouTubers, huge Twitch streamers, thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of just gamers have it on their mind as something that they are like, they're like side-eyeing it, like poking it. Is it ever going to do anything? And I think a lot of people thought it was going to do something in 318. So they flooded it. Yeah, r/games definitely pays attention, just not in a good way. See, I think that's totally not the case at all, right? Is everybody is going to meme on the stupid thing that looks stupid, right? Like that's what I love about this channel, is that for the most part, we do have some like just overly negative people, but for the most part, it's all about laughing at the joke that is this project at this point, right? It's funny how stupid it can be at sometimes, but we all love it. For the most part, I would imagine. I certainly do. I can only speak for myself. I always say we, but I can only speak for I love it. I think it's got tons of potential. I want it to do great. But at the same time, the way I cope is by making fun of all the stupid stuff that happens, right? So for me, this is a huge one if it means that they can do that huge load testing before they launch a patch and clean up all the issues around the load. And I won't say all, a lot of the issues around load tests, loads and whatever, and then launch patches much more simply. And the thing is if you ever look at a release of a big game, it always struggles, right? Like, come on. We're never going to deal with, you're never going to have a launch that's smooth for a game that's really highly anticipated, right? Especially when it's like an MMO with servers and all this stuff. It's never going to be smooth, but hopefully we never experience 318 again, right? That's the big thing there. So back to characters and weapons. The carry heavier objects is going to have to change the way everything works, right? It's weird. We have the weight. There's like a weight system with our inventory, but do they just mean carry, or do they mean, carry it in your bag? So the weight system is like a volume thing, not really a weight thing. So it's an interesting way that they do things right now. For player traversal, the team began implementing a sliding mechanic. Okay. If a player tries to crouch while sprinting, they will perform a short slide before entering the crouch stance. The speed of the slide is determined by the starting speed of the player, and the distance may depend on factors such as the roughness or angle of the terrain. The player will automatically stop when reaching an obstacle, as the prime use case is for this feature to allow players to slide into cover. I think that this is going to be... I mean, can we just like go back to force reactions and look at how ridiculous those are, please? Gameplay features. Continued work on the new vehicle tractor beam, which also brings improvements to the existing tractor beams. Very interesting. What improvements do you guys think existing tractor beams need? The only one I could think of is when you click it on, it's click, 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 click. But that happens with the mining attachment as well. That's the only issue I see with it. Does anybody else have any other issues? Maybe, yeah, the UI, UI unification. I don't know what unification, but for me, the UI on the boxes that you see, right? Like this is gold, but I don't know if that's really a tractor beam thing. It's part of the tractor beam UI. So maybe. I would love to see that. Additionally, the team progressed with the resource network, which includes features like engineering, gameplay, and life support. So, yeah, I mean, we know they've been working on that. We also know that they worked on several salvage munching prototypes. And, yeah, the technical solution. Finally, they made improvements to mining for Alpha 320. Jesus, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. I'm really struggling today. Okay. Updates to stability and predictability when mining. That's been my feedback. Is there's no predictability. Okay, a lot of people, like we posted a react recently on the channel with people saying the prospector's dead. The prospector's not dead by any way, shape, or form, right? It just they made a change of a completely imbalanced and broken system, right? But yeah. For Alpha 20, the issues that I gave as far as my community feedback was when you have high instability and the laser starts going down because of it, which I think is stupid, personally. I think that is bad. Just a bad idea. It makes no sense that it's difficult for me to break or start to power a rock because of instability. It should be difficult to like stay in the green zone is how I always felt. Would like, made sense to me. But basically there's times where you can't even break a rock at all that you should because the instability is high and it always stays below the thing. I don't like it personally. But that's just my opinion on it. And I don't know what the plan would be to stabilize it, but I have faith that they understand the feedback and they will address it. I think everything that's been in so far is fantastic. And it's just a matter of these little tweaks now, and it should be a lot better. Mission features. Embedded QA testers supported the developer ship trespass by giving the feature rigorous destructive testing, okay, which is why it didn't pass, I would imagine, right? They were like, hey, there's too many outliers here. We got to do something about it. Retrieve consignment mission passed its final review and is currently being polished and ballasted. Alongside this, the current underground facilities were replaced with Rastar to fix a variety of issues and make iterating on them easier. I mean, dude, I remember Luke coming in and talking about secondary entrances and all this stuff. So, if you do bunker missions regularly, and I know a lot of people like to do them, bro, there's no way that is not getting repetitive for you. I know it certainly has for me. And I really hope that this turns into the ability to just provide more variety there, and that would be great. Progress was also made on a new global event, Blockade Runner. Oh, that's right. This is the replacement for Ninetales Lockdown, which so problematic. A working prototype was shown to the game directors who approved it to move to development. Initial planning for cargo missions was completed with all the dependencies identified. The team are now looking deeper into the reputation system to improve the wider delivery and hauling mission gameplay loop. I mean, there is so much riding on this. I can't describe to you how important this is. Cargo missions are probably going to be the bread and butter of the entire system. Like, tie into Quantum. The first real reputation being added to the game, right? I just, with missions and stuff, I think that's really going to have to... I don't expect it to be huge in its tier 0 implementation, but I think it's going to have to be a much more polished and thought out and working system, because it's so important. Steal and recover cargo missions are also prototyped and shown to the directors and are making good progress. These will see players either recover cargo from disabled ships or disable and board ships before securing their cargo. Finally, code work, and if you guys didn't notice, a few monthly reports ago, this team was figuring out how to make many ships have NPCs that can fight on them. So that is the idea here, is to it was for these missions and to board ships and secure them by taking out the crew that's inside. Finally, code work began for reputation. Progress within reputation scopes will give players discounts on various purchases, including items, refueling, and repair. Oh, wow. Okay. Why would we need refuel and repair discounts when it's so cheap already? But hey, it needs that functionality. It's the teams that work on the economy need to do their end of the work, which they have not. I think most of us would agree on that. Mission features also picked up the reputation-based hostility system, which will see NPC orgs more willing to attack those who have a negative reputation with them while providing benefits to those with positive standing. I've talked about this plenty. That is what is going to make Stanton feel alive to me. And I think a lot of you. Graphics VFX programming. I usually skip a lot of this, but global illumination is always a big thing. AMD's API for Vulkan is mentioned, so that's always, more Vulkan work. And water shader, world builder. But again, I usually skip that stuff because it's a little over my head. And you guys can maybe fill in the gaps there for me, because I can't provide any additional context on those. CitizenCon is in October. I don't know the exact date, though. I'm not going. In-game branding for an upcoming event. What do you think that event is? What do we have upcoming? IAE? CitizenCon? Those are the only two that are usually scheduled. Is there anything else? I'm not sure. They also began work on the underground facilities, working closely with the concept and sandbox team on different mock-ups for the commercial lobbies. Okay, so these are the large ones. Progress was made on the final touch-ups for Pyro, okay? Interactables. Pyro consumables. And shop and prop content. All right. Lighting, cleaned up various locations around Pyro and worked on the systems and gas clouds. EU locations. More Pyro rundown stations. They also improved signing around New Babbage and improved and bug fixed the Crusader platforms, which we're not getting because something with Rastar. So those are pushed to .1, right? So it's interesting the way they communicated here is that they bug fixed it, but it's not ready, I guess. Weird. Sandbox team progressed with outposts for Pyro. And improvements were made. This is all Pyro for EU. Then Montreal locations. Derelict settlements. I forgot about these. Did anybody else forget about derelict settlements? Are they supposed to be in 320? I don't think so. Almost feel like, again, a CitizenCon keynote thing is derelict settlements. which passed gray box before moving into the final phase. Progress was made on the underground facilities too. Once the above content is delivered, the team will return to the ongoing building interior mandate, which I think they give a little sneak peek here. Looking nice. So this can be like, this could be one of two things, right? Like this can be a lobby at an underground facility, which based on like the shapes and what we've previously seen, this does look like a lobby of an underground facility. So I don't think this is an apartment, but we'll see. Narrative, a lot here. Pyro narrative. Examining how the overall mission system will change when the new system is added. What new system? Oh, the new star system. To answer the last one, it's led to some interesting discussions about missions that cross over from Stanton to Pyro and vice versa. So, obviously that was going to be a thing, but confirming that is always nice to see. Elsewhere, the team supported the Mystical Sea by implementing the latest version of the air traffic controller behavior, which players would now request a landing spot to load and offload their cargo. This also led to resurrecting work on the overarching ATC behavior, which some potentially exciting updates with that will be discussed in the near future. Okay. Remember when the air traffic controller was like a fun thing? Remember, man, it was Nyx. Nyx was incredible, right? He was so funny. The narrative team also expanded to include 2 dedicated narrative designers who will bridge the gaps between narrative design and AI. They will look at all NPCs from mission givers to population characters and refine their behaviors to make them feel more alive and ultimately establish the tone and flavor of the game's various locations. For example, to make the people of Hurston feel distinct from the people of Orison. I love that. I mean, here's the deal. I think, raise your hand in chat if you believe all NPCs at all landing zones and all stations should be removed. I mean, I'm going to raise my hand. They don't add anything to the game currently, right? But the people who, like what we see here, everything I read here, if it worked, they would, right? All they do is ruin the experience for the players playing on the server. They don't add anything, in my opinion. But if they actually worked the way that we read in these monthly reports, they would add so much, right? They would add so much to it. But right now, all they do is stand on chairs, and it's not really that interesting or exciting. And then online services in Montreal, inventory ID feature. Okay, I don't know if this is like long-term persistence issues and stuff. And then R&D. Looks like a lot more VFX R&D. And then UI data heist screen. Okay, which we're excited about. Core technology, improve building blocks runtime performance. In addition of UI assets, let it increase size and complexity. Reduce CPU footprint. Okay, so performance gains there. That's always good. Team also continued adding new features to bindings and building blocks, including a color picker, pagination widget. I don't know what a pagination widget is. And step lines for the designers. Finally, UI worked alongside graphics for a new internal map system to help players navigate the in-game complex cities, planets, and capital ships. So that is something we saw at SitCon, and looks like it's being implemented into PU stuff, which is cool. And then working on the interiors and exteriors of Pyro locations for VFX. And that's really it. The size 5 bomb is for the A1. And that was our monthly report. I mean, highlights, guys. Miscall C, air traffic control stuff. Because I think that will not just be the Miscall C. I think that will apply to many things. Skills was a big one, right? What else sticks out? The headless thing perhaps. A lot of stuff going on with missions. Really want to see this blockade runner thing come to life, because now with like piracy, it can get really cool. We're gonna hear a lot more about Rastar soon. I mean, I would say this was overall a pretty beefy monthly report. A lot of ships being worked on, obviously. Sales coming up. But, yeah. Very interesting. So, that was another month in the books. And to be honest, I'm very happy that they didn't really hide too much in terms of what they're working on. Because we can read it. And then at CitizenCon, we can see it. You know what I mean? So I think that was good.